And today we're going to go into something that's kind of uncomfortable. I think pretty much everything we talk about is uncomfortable for men, but anyway, it's just another one. And it's personal responsibility as it relates to happiness. So before anybody checks out on us, we're not going to talk about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. This isn't about blame. It's not about pretending life hasn't been hard. Most of us were never taught that happiness is something that we participate in. We were taught to chase it, to wait for the right relationship, the right job, more money, more certainty, fewer problems. The longer we wait for external conditions to change, the more power we quietly are just kind of giving away, we're getting rid of. So over time, that waiting is going to turn into frustration, resentment, or numbness. So today we're going to talk about understanding what we are responsible for, and just as important, what we are not responsible for. Because responsibility isn't about fault, it's about ownership. And the moment you take ownership of your internal world and stop waiting for permission to feel okay is when you can kind of take over. And I think I heard something, somebody said that the second that we can turn expectation into appreciation is when we can really start turning our worlds around, and how true that statement is. And I think appreciation for all that we have, and it's hard to even do when we find ourselves kind of mired in the things I named earlier. Was it resentment, frustration, numbness? When we get mired in that, it's kind of, oh, well, what the fuck I got to appreciate? I got all these bills and my job sucks and I made all these bad decisions and I've landed myself in this position where I can't, blah, blah, blah. So those scenarios, it's hard to stop and take a look and think, and I'll just fill in mine. How am I supposed to not be frustrated or feel numb? I lost my kid, and it was an accident that I left for work and came home and he was gone. And, how am I supposed to look at the bright side? And it's because it could be worse, A, and B, this is this little journey we're on as a human being. While none of us really know exactly what's happening, it is, we all do know that it is a unique experience, and we need to take advantage of this unique experience and enjoy it, learn as much from it as we can. If you want to, even if you want to get spiritual about it, what we could be here training for other missions later. And that's, we may have to come back if we drop the ball on this go. And I kind of bounced back and forth. Jason and I, before we came on, started recording, we were having a discussion of how our realities are so much more clearly being shaped by these external forces, and now we're pitching AI into the equation, which is going to add further doubt to us. I know in history shows us when Hitler was taking over, or really it's any buddy who's an authoritarian, when they take over, the first thing they do is they enter doubt into the equation. So we cannot decipher, quote unquote, truth from lies, real from not real. And I think as clearly as we now can look back and see what Hitler was doing to kind of get people, to get people on board with what he was doing, he was using some mind fuckery. And now we look back on it and see how clearly, well, that's all that's happened to us. We're being taken advantage of. And the past 4 episodes we've dealt with and this is really the core to our message, I think, is that we've been pushed into this external facing scenario as humans, whereas all the experience needs to be focused internally. And Jason has done a very good job explaining that to us over the last few episodes, and how we need to focus on that. And it's really what all we're trying to work on here in the training, if you will, that we're putting out, is to teach us to stop chasing these things that we've been conditioned to chase. And we're not going to get necessarily, we don't have to dive deep into why we've been conditioned. It is what it is. We've been conditioned. I have for sure, and I fight it, and it's something that we have to kind of train ourselves out of. So today we're going to focus that on what does happiness even look like? How am I responsible for it? What am I responsible for, and what am I not responsible for?